Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, Math Made Easy with Terry in 10 minutes. So we'll be talking about parallel lines, perpendicular lines, and points of intersection. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give a brief overview here just to give you a general idea of what to expect in the subsequent videos, okay? And please, like I always say, make sure you review previous video before you come to this section, because if you don't understand the previous video, it's going to be hard for you to follow up here. All right, so make sure you watch the previous videos, solve questions from the worksheet, solve questions from the textbook, and ensure you understood it. And if you have any question, let me know. All right, and also if you've not subscribed, I don't know what you're waiting for, click on the subscription button. I also click on notification bell so that when I post new videos, you'll be the first person to know. Now, let's look at this, for instance. Let's assume we have two lines now. We have line AB, okay? This is line AB. And we have another line what? CD. All right. So now for each of this line now, I believe you can find the distance, okay? We talked about how to find the distance, where we said the distance is equal to the square root of y2 minus y1 squared plus x2 minus x1 squared, okay? Also, if I ask you to find the midpoint, like the center of these two lines now, you can find the midpoint, okay? We had a video on that. So the midpoint, which is the M, is equal to what? X1 plus X2 divided by 2, and Y1 plus Y2 divided by what? 2, okay? Also, we talked about the different line equations, okay? We've discussed the equation of the line. So if I give you some data or some information, and I ask you to find the equation of a line, remember the general equation with the slope-intercept form is y is equal to mx plus c. I also gave you other ones, which was the y minus y1 is equal to mx minus x1. I also gave you the other one as well, which was y minus y1 is equal to y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1, x minus x1. And I also gave you the fourth one, which was ax plus by plus c is equal to what? 0. Okay, so we've talked about this. Now we're going to go a step further now, all right? A step further. Now, I'm going to be comparing when the two lines are said to be parallel, okay? So if, for instance, we are having these same lines, we have line AB, okay? Are you seeing it? And we are having line what? CD. And these two lines are parallel. So when we say parallel, it means that they are parallel to each other, or the lines can never meet, okay? And for each of this, let's just call this different name, okay? So that it'll be easy for us to understand. So let's call this XA, the A coordinate of the X coordinate of A, and YA. Are you seeing it? So that means the A coordinate of the Y coordinate of A, the X coordinate of A, and let's call this XB, YB. Are you seeing it? Then let's call the coordinate of this X. Let me use that color for this, for the CD. So let me say we have, let me use green for this. So let's call this XC, YC, and let's call this XD, YD. So let's say these are the coordinates for this point. And definitely, this is called line Y2, and this is going to be called line Y1. So that means I can now say Y1, okay? The Y1, the equation of this one is going to be mx plus c. Do you remember? And this is for line Y1, right? Or line AB. All right? And the equation for the second one, which is Y2, is going to be called mx as well plus c, okay? So in order for me to differentiate the first line from the second line, let me put 2 here. So m2, x2, and c2. And to differentiate the second one, m1, x1, and c1. Now, what we're saying is that if these two lines, y1 and y2, are parallel, what will happen is that you will notice that the slope of the first line will be equal to the slope of the second line. Okay? So if both of them are parallel, what you will find out, I'm going to solve questions on that, is that the slope of the first line will be equal to the slope of the second line. For example, when you have y is equal to 2x minus 5, and you have y is equal to 2x plus 50 or plus 8 or something. Now, what you see is that these two lines are parallel because the slope of the first line is equal to the slope of the what? The second line. Is that making sense? So that means for two lines to be parallel, okay, for two line segments to be parallel, the slope of the first line must be equal to the slope of the what? Second line. So let's call the second line CD. And that is that for that. Now let's go to another one. So let's say we are looking at another concept, let's say perpendicular lines, okay? Another concept, perpendicular lines. So we want to understand what happens when two lines are said to be perpendicular. Okay? So remember, when they are parallel, the slope of the first one is equal to the slope of the second one. Now, for perpendicular, it's still the same thing. Let's look at AB. So this is line AB, this is A, and this is B. When they are perpendicular, it means that both lines are at what? 90 degrees. Is that okay? They are at 90 degrees, C and D. So that means both of them are at 90 degrees. That's what it's called perpendicular. Now, to maintain the same way, let's call AB line Y1. And this C has a coordinate of XA and YA, while B has a coordinate of XB, YB. Are you seeing it? Now, let's go to D. Let's call this line Y2, okay? C will have a coordinate of what? XC and YC, okay? While D, we have what? XD and YD. All right. So the same thing, the equation of line 1, we're going to just maintain it. So Y1 is going to become M1 X1 plus C1. So that is line AB. Okay. Y2 is going to be the same thing, M2 X2 plus C2. And that is line what? CD. Now, what happens here is that if these two lines are said to be perpendicular, what happens? Okay, what happens is that when they are perpendicular, you will notice that when you multiply the first slope by the second slope, your answer will be equal to what? -1. So that means if you multiply this and this, your answer will become what? -1. Or you can also write it as the first slope is equal to the negative inverse of the second slope. So basically, the first slope will be the second slope when you switch it, okay? You switch it or you flip it, and you put a negative what? A negative sign. And this is that for that. All right? So for example, okay, let's pick an example. Let's say we have y is equal to 2x minus 5, okay? Same example here. Now, for this line to be perpendicular, it means that it has to be, you flip it and you put a negative sign. So minus 1 over 2x plus 30. It could be anything. So because you can see the slope of the first line is the negative flip or the negative reciprocal of the second slope. Or if you multiply 2 times -1 over 2, it will give you -1. So because of that, you can now say these two lines are what? Perpendicular. Now, like I said, it's different from parallel because in parallel, the slope of the first line is equal to the slope of the second line. But in perpendicular, the slope of the first line is the negative reciprocal of the what? First line. Is that okay? And that will be that for that. So now I'm going to go end up with the last part, which is going to be the point of intersection. Okay, which is going to be the point of intersection. So let us have a look at that. So we're going to have the points of intersections. Okay, the points of intersection. Now, the same thing, we have line AB. Let's assume this is our line AB. Okay, it's intersecting. Let me do this well. Line AB. Okay, it's intersecting with line what? CD. Now you're seeing the difference here. Now, both of them are meeting at a single point, this point here. So let's call this point, okay? Let's call this point I, okay? This is the point of intersection. Let's call this point I. So as usual, let's go back. Line A is going to have its own line as well. So that means if you look at it, for example, line AB, we have here is going to be called, it has its own point XA, XB, okay? Sorry, XA, YA, I beg your pardon. So XA, YA, while B is going to have XB, YB. Are you seeing it? Then D as well, and this is going to become line Y1. So basically line Y1 connects point A and point B, all right? So let's go to the next one. So line Y2, so this line Y2, so the point there is going to be called XD, YD, and C is going to be called what? XC, YC. But as you can see, that they meet at a point of intersection I. So that means I is going to have its own coordinates. It will be XI, YI. So in this part now, you are looking for what is the coordinate at the point of what? Intersection. So what happens? Y1 is equal to, as usual, M1 X1 plus C1, that is for line AB. Okay. Then Y2, which is the second one. So this is the Y2 line. Okay. The Y2 line. So the Y2 is going to be equal to M2 X2 plus what? C2. That's line what? CD. So now, what happens at point of intersection? What happens at this point of intersection here? At point of intersection, Y1, this Y1 will be equal to what? Y2. Are you seeing it? So Y1 will be equal to what? Y2. So that means at point of intersection, okay, that means at point of intersection, this M1 X1 plus C1 will be equal to M2 X2 plus C2. So that means M1 X1 plus C1 will be equal to M2 X2 plus what? C2. Okay. So for instance, if you want to give an example, if 2x minus 5, if y, okay, if y equal to 2x minus 5, let's say this, let's call it YA, intersects with YB, which is, let's say, 5x minus 3. So if they intersect, it means that YA must be equal to what? YB. So because of that, we can now say 2x minus 5 is equal to 5x minus 3. All right, and that is that. So you can see this is a good summary of everything. This is what we're going to talk about in the next subsequent video series. When it's parallel, okay, M1 is equal to M2. When it's perpendicular, M1 is the negative reciprocal, or basically negative flip of M2. When it's a point of intersection, Y1 is equal to Y2. All right? So we're going to go straight into it in the next video. I'm going to start with parallel lines, okay? The concept of parallel lines and how to find what? Parallel lines. So I'm going to give an example and I'm going to talk about it. So please, you can take a screenshot, write it in your notebook, understand it, because this is very key to solving most forms of what? Equation of a line questions. All right? So I'm going to see you in the next video. And like I said, if you've not subscribed, don't hesitate to do so. Click this notification bell so when I update the next video on parallel lines, you'll be the first person to know. All right, so see you soon, and I'll see you in the next video.